nothing came of it. But we don't know whether Trump knew about the meeting. I find it kind of hard to believe he didn't, considering every major campaign figure was there. But and then they just keep lying. And this is the part that's a problem. Are they lying because they just think they can get away with it and they're stupid, or are they lying because they're actually being meticulous about their lies? I tend to think the former, because this isn't a professional administration. I think Trump, fibs a lot. He says things that are, like on stupid things. Yeah. Right? He says things like, the leader of the Boy Scouts called me and told me that he loved my speeches.
Best speech ever.
And then the leader of the Boy Scouts like, what? So is that a calculated lie to hide something, or is it just that Trump lies by nature and so he does it a lot?
Well, I think he's just so used to putting that spin on things, that publicity spin.
Right.
And the thing that he said about this was that this is what happens in politics. You get dirt about your enemy and people exchange information. It's just what happens. It's just you're seeing it now. So a lot of people are like, yeah, well, that makes sense.
Right. And this is something that, again, I think that we're shaped by Hollywood a little bit. Politics is dirty, but some of this stuff is not usual. Right? It's actually not particularly usual to meet with a government that is really not friendly to the United States to receive information about your political opponents. But if you've watched House of Cards, you think, well, that's like 2 steps down from throwing somebody under a subway, so what's the big deal?
Do you watch House of Cards?
I don't, because I work in politics, and when I go home at night, the last thing I want to do is watch entertainment about politics. I watch Game of Thrones. That's as political as it gets.
Yeah, House of Cards is a great show, but if it's half right, I always wonder. The thing that gets me is when people suicide themselves that are on their way to trial. I'm like, okay, I don't want to be that fucking guy. I don't want to be that tinfoil hat guy. But how many people are going to suicide themselves? For sure, someone's been murdered. Somewhere along the line, someone knew something, some powerful people got to them, and they murder them. It's going to happen. It has happened. It must have happened.
I think it happens a lot in Russia. I don't think that
100%,
I don't believe what Trump said. And again, I think this is what Trump has, a skewed vision of what politics is, and because he thinks that the outer limit of politics is Russia, he thinks anything inside that limit is now okay.
But do you think it's ever happened in the United States or just in Russia?
Like political assassinations?
Yes.
I can't name a specific example of where it has. I think that's...
Are you open to the possibility?
I'm open to. If someone shows me
Lyndon
evidence,
Johnson. You think Lyndon Johnson could whack somebody?
I don't think Lyndon Johnson whacked anybody.
What about Kennedy?
I don't think that Kennedy whacked anybody.
What about Hillary?
I don't think Hillary whacked anybody.
If I had my last $1,000, I'd be super tempted to bet on black. I'd be super tempted to go, you know what? I think she went dark. I think she's whacked a few people. Let's go. Let's see what we got here. I want to see Whitewater. I'd want to see Vince Foster. I want to see that Enron guy who shot himself in the head twice. There's a few. If I could, man, I think it's happened. I just don't know who.
I'm sure it's happened
when.
at some point, but again, if I don't know who and when, I'm hesitant to.
Of course.
I think that we tend to think things are regular when they are. That'd be really irregular.
Yes.
Right. So we tend to think that this stuff is happening every day, and that's why you see Trump on TV saying, "Well, Putin, America hasn't killed people," and it's like, well, no, not quite like Putin. Putin legitimately murders his journalistic enemies.
Yes.
I haven't seen you trying to double tap Jake Tapper. So I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. No, it's not a regular thing around here. Even Obama wasn't trying to kill Chris Wallace.
Right, but maybe they. Maybe I don't know. Well, Putin is obviously the extreme example, right? Obviously the extreme example is North Korea, but Putin is in that range of a totally feared, essentially a dictator who's.
There are a bunch of them, right? Erdogan in Turkey.
Sure.
Maduro.
Assad.
Assad. Maduro now in Venezuela, who's literally
Venezuela
jailing his political opponents.
Now a complete dictatorship, and this is very recently.
Right, but America is would you believe it if I said leaders in France had people regularly whacked? I'd find it a little bit hard to believe. I don't think we're significantly worse than France in the whacking people in politics business.
I don't think regularly, but I think every now and then. The move is...
I'm open to the possibility, but I'd have to see the evidence, the lawyer in me.
Well, I don't think we're a house of cards. I don't think it gets that ridiculous, but...
The point I'm making is if you think that's a regular thing, if you think that it's not like a rare thing and maybe once in a while, once every 20 years somebody gets whacked quietly for political reason, if you think that's a regular thing, then fibbing is way inside the line.
Right.
Right? You hiding documents is really... Or you writing your son's stupid statement about a stupid email exchange and then fibbing about it publicly, that's really inside the line. So, again, I don't think that... I think some of this... I have a rule about the Trump administration. I never attribute to malevolence what I can attribute to stupidity. Because I think that that's... more likely to be the case. It's like the Occam's razor of,
Right.
of the Trump administration.
I think that is a smart way to think, but I think sometimes malevolence is real.
No, I agree.
Remember the Gary